And welcome back to Game Escape. Today we're going to take a look at a new release on the Nintendo 3DS eShop, and that is Attack of the Friday Monsters, a Tokyo Tale. I picked up this game with the $30 credit that Nintendo was offering for owning Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Fire Emblem. And I was somewhat unsure as to what I should get. Have not really purchased a lot of digital titles for the 3DS. But this kind of flashed on the screen. They said it was a new release, and I'm always interested in new JRPGs, and it just seemed like something that I should try out. And I was really pleasantly surprised with this game. It is a very, very unique title, put out by Level 5. These are the same people that recently did Ni no Kuni. They did the Joan of Arc game on the PSP. They were responsible for Dragon Quest VIII. They just have a great track record of putting out visually gorgeous and immersive JRPGs. So I purchased it, and like I said, very, very unique title. It's kind of a mixture of a visual novel and a card battle RPG, and quite frankly it leans very heavily towards the visual novel side of things. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of the visual novel genre, but in this case, the story and the pacing of the story really drew me into the game in a way that I was not expecting. And I'll try to keep it relatively spoiler-free, but if you're planning on playing this, you may want to click off, because I will sort of give the framework of the story here. Basically, you play the role of a young boy named Sota, who is a transfer student in a little suburb of Tokyo in the 1970s. And the town is home to a television studio that produces a monster show every Friday. And this is one of the kind of giant Godzilla type shows. Also involves aliens and heroes, and they actually use the term kaiju. So this is, those of you who've seen Pacific Rim will be familiar with that terminology, and it's kind of the date of release here is interesting, you know, right when that movie is, I guess, popular here. You've got that sort of vocabulary in the game. And what I think is really charming and so well done about the story is that you're playing the role of this child who meets up with a group of other children, and they're trying to discover the mystery behind these monsters that suddenly show up in town. And so the town kind of functions as a staging ground for this show. You have the giant monster footprints, you have an alien landing site, you've got sort of images of giant lizard-like monsters battling in the distance, made with smoke and special effects. And the townspeople are in on the joke, and they actually try to construct a little mystery for these children, and it's done in a kind of a very charming and sweet way. And one of the, I think, very, very well done elements of the story is that you, as you're playing through, it becomes evident that this group of kids, they're slowly developing reasoning skills, and they're slowly starting to work out that this is a story, and that their kind of interpretation of reality might actually be flawed. As they come to that realization, however, the game takes a very, very much a sci-fi turn. It turns out that, well, there actually are monsters and aliens, and the need for a great giant hero. So it's actually kind of interesting to see the interplay of these two storylines, just at the point where these kids are starting to correctly interpret their reality. You actually have this science fiction reality imposed over that story of discovery. And this is all paced so nicely. You've got 23 little mini episodes that slowly tease out the story, and you can play them in a roughly non-linear fashion. You can start episode 6 before discovering episode 4, things like that. Although there is kind of a general narrative framework that you have to work in. And you sort of travel the town, and as you talk to various townspeople, you will ultimately kind of unlock the opportunities to engage in these various episodes. Now, as far as the gameplay goes, the core mechanic in Attack of the Friday Monsters is a card battle game that you'll play with the other children that you meet in the town, and the winner of the game gets to cast a spell on the loser, and the loser becomes that person's servant, and you sort of go back and forth in the game, trading victories against the other children in town. This game is, again, this is a rock, paper, scissors sort of a game, and fortunately, as I was recording this, I was not winning consistently because I realized that I did not remember the rules of rock, paper, scissors correctly, and so once I read up on that and re-familiarized myself with the game, the battles actually got much easier. Basically, you lay out 5 cards against your opponent, and the computer will give you 2 hints and kind of give a prediction of the outcome of the game. And so if the hint is that you're losing and you put out a rock, you can assume that the other person has a paper in that card slot. Then you move the scissors over and try to get the victory by guessing these hint scenarios correctly. And then, of course, as you go through the game, as you collect, you actually collect these little orbs called glims, which are dropped by the monsters. And initially, you'll just collect the glims to get the cards. Once you have the cards, you actually level them up through this process of collecting. And if you're struggling against a particular opponent in the card play battles, then you just want to level up those cards, because if it's a draw, the strongest card will win. So if it's 2 rocks, for example, and your rock is a level 9 and his rock is a level 6, you will win. There are, however, only a few times in the game where you really need to win these battles to succeed. You can actually collect more glims by playing frequently and winning, but most of your leveling up will occur by completing these different episodes, the story episodes in the game. Once you do, the glims will just sort of drop from the sky, and you can level up your cards that way. So, that's it as far as the gameplay is concerned. This is, not something you pick up for the traditional level grinding, although once you complete the game, there are some bonus episodes, actually 2 bonus episodes. One is a continuation of the story, just very briefly, and the other is basically a free play mode where you can go around and play different people in town and continually level up your cards, and there's some suggestion at the end that there might be another episode in the future, or there might be some downloadable content in which highly leveled cards will be useful. Now, I have to say that, on the surface, this does not sound like a particularly engaging game. This seems just like another Japanese visual novel game that happens to be translated, but it is just so unique. It is so perfectly paced for what it's offering. I mean, it's only going to take you about 3 hours or less to complete, but in that 3-hour time period, just the way the game is broken up and the way the narrative is slowly revealed made me, anyway, want to keep playing, to kind of discover where the story was going and just sort of immerse myself in the charm of this town and of this character. And the visuals here, much like the other level 5 games, are really, really terrific. The 3D is very crisp, and it really does draw you in to the game. It's also, I think, interesting to note that this is, at least for me, the first mini RPG that I've played, and I can't really recall other mini RPGs. I mean, it feels like, despite this kind of unique structure between visual novel and card battle, it feels like a very complete experience. You don't, as you're playing it, think that you're playing some sort of shortened or abridged JRPG. You're actually getting a very, very satisfying experience packed into those 2 or 3 hours that you will spend playing it. Now, the game is priced at $8 on the Nintendo 3DS eShop, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it to you at that price. It is a surprisingly complete and compelling experience. It doesn't feel like you're getting a collection of minigames masquerading as an RPG. It in no way feels abridged. It is just expertly constructed. The art style is beautiful. It is so perfectly paced for the gameplay time that you're going to get with it, and it offers a sense of youthful exploration and adventure that few games that I've played do. I mean, I kind of had that feeling maybe with the first Grandia, or of course with The Legend of Zelda, and those games cannot be directly compared to this one, but just on the level of the art style, the narrative, and the character development, it feels like a special kind of experience. And it's, I think, you know, you had that with Ni no Kuni as well. I think level 5, they get how to construct a story from a child's perspective and yet still make it, I think, interesting and engaging for an older audience. And I can only hope that this is the type of game that Nintendo will continue to bring out on the 3DS. It really is unlike anything else out there that I've played, and I was just happy to have grabbed that $30 credit, because honestly, without that, would not have picked this up. And this is certainly giving me cause to go back and check out the Nintendo eShop on the 3DS from time to time to see if there are these kind of hidden gems out there. And thanks for watching Game Escape, and I will talk to you soon.